You want to use a cut of beef that has a good ratio of fat to meat. I'm using a combination of short rib and tri-tip. I have 800 grams of beef short rib and 1,200 grams of tri-tip. You can also use chuck roast or beef cheek. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and I'm going to leave the meat in the fridge for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I will make my spice blend. Start by roasting 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of black peppercorns, 1 teaspoon of whole cloves, 1 bay leaf, and a 2-inch stick of cinnamon. I'm going to lightly toast these and then remove them. Now for the chilies. I've taken the stems out. 10 guajillo chilies, that's 60 grams. 4 ancho chilies, that's also 60 grams. Ancho chilies tend to be a lot heavier. 8 chile de arbol, that's about 8 to 10 grams. If you want to increase the spice level of your birria, add more chile de arbol. Once these are lightly toasted, remove them and reserve. Back in the hot pan, I'm going to roast half an onion and 5 cloves of garlic. Add some oil to the hot pan and sear the meat in batches. When it has a nice caramelized color, flip it over. The salt we added to the meat will help draw out some of the moisture from the surface, making it easier to caramelize. Searing the meat adds flavor, but it also traps all of the meat juices inside the meat as it cooks. I'm going to add 3 tomatoes, this is roughly 200 grams, and all of the chilies into my Instant Pot. I'm going to top this with 4 cups or 1 liter of water. You can boil these together or separately in a pot if you like, or you could speed up the process like I'm doing by cooking it in my Instant Pot. I'm going to set this to pressure cook for just 3 minutes. We want to make sure not to overcook the chilies as they could get bitter. I'm going to open my pressure cooker now and I'm going to fish out the tomatoes and I'm going to add these into my food processor. Next, I'm going to add all of the chilies and about half of the liquid. Make sure that the chilies and the tomatoes have cooled completely before you puree it. I've ground all of the whole spices that I toasted earlier and I'm going to add this in. I'm also going to add in the onion and garlic. Next, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of Mexican oregano. This is slightly different to Italian oregano. It has more of a citrus note compared to its Italian counterpart that has more of a minty flavor. Add 2 tablespoons of coarse salt. And next, I'm going to add 5 tablespoons of vinegar. Now I will start to puree this. To thin it out, I'm going to add another cup of the chili liquid. I'm straining this as there could be some residue from the chilies. The Mexican spice blend can be made ahead and stored in your fridge. It can also be frozen. Set the Instant Pot to saute mode. I'm going to add half a cup of oil and I'm going to allow this to heat up. The reason I love to use my Instant Pot is because I have an 8-quart and it has high sides. This will prevent splatter. Slowly pour in the chili paste into the oil. I'm going to cook this for a minute or so and then I'm going to immerse the meat. I'm going to add about a cup of water to my processor and I'm going to add this in. I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of salt. Close the lid and set this to pressure cook for 1 hour. You can also cook this for a longer time on your stovetop in a Dutch oven if you don't have a pressure cooker. At the end of the cook time, remove the meat and reserve. This should be fork tender and it should easily shred. If it doesn't, you can cook your meat a little bit longer. Another option to a regular stovetop cooking or pressure cooking is slow cooking. You can transfer this to a slow cooker or a crock pot and just let it slow cook overnight. Often that is my preferred method for fall off the bone tender meat. I don't like to use the slow cooker function on the Instant Pot as I don't like the results. This meat can be made ahead. It does tend to dry out, so add a little bit of gravy as required to keep it moist. It can also be frozen. Now for the fun part, we're going to prep the tacos. Heat up a heavy iron skillet and add a little bit of oil. I'm using corn tortillas. These are the most traditional as they hold up really well for frying. If you prefer, you can also use flour tortillas. Dip the taco in the oil that floats on top of the consommé and lay it down on the hot pan. My skillet can accommodate 2 tacos, so I will add another one. If you have a large electric skillet or even a coal-powered one, that would work really well to make multiple tacos. Flip it over and add a thin layer of cheese. I will be adding about a quarter cup of shredded cheese. I have a combination of Monterey Jack and cheddar here, but you can use the traditional Oaxaca cheese if you can find it, or you can substitute mozzarella as well. You can also choose to omit the cheese, but the cheese does help to bind the taco together. Add some of the meat over the taco, sprinkle with a little bit of cilantro, chili, and onion, and fold over and press down. Cook this on both sides. You want a nice, crispy, and slightly blistered taco. If this doesn't look delicious enough, it's then dipped into the reserved consomme, and this is topped with more cilantro, chili, and onion. Enjoy.